and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan and it's time for our Game Week 5 team selection video, a video where I'm going to be going through my scores from Game Week 4 as well as my potential moves for Game Week 5. And believe me guys, this is going to be an interesting one because I'm thinking of taking a -4 and I'm going to show you exactly what kind of moves I'm eyeing up for this upcoming game week. So very excited. If you guys enjoy this one, please do drop a like. Can we hit 2,000 likes on this video? That would be amazing. And do subscribe if you are new around here as well. But first, a quick look at our Game Week 4 scores. Okay, so Game Week 4 was another one of those weeks, unfortunately. 76 points, which sounds like a good score, but really that's just all about Erling Haaland. Without his 40 points, this team pretty much sucked. And that was mostly due to the fact that the defenders weren't really doing too much. Udogie was the only player who got any results in this defense, including the goalkeeper. And we had the likes of Saka not doing too much, Fernandes not doing too much, and even like guys like Rashford and Maddison and Foden, even though they got goal returns, like they still weren't mega points or anything like that. So disappointing in some ways, but we didn't do too badly to have too much of a red arrow. 60,000 places lost. I don't think that's too bad, and I still feel like we're in an okay position going forward. We're still inside like the top 1 million. Like that's pretty much where you want to be at this stage. There's plenty more game weeks to get up into that top 100k and beyond. But what I would say is that my two transfers I did make, which was Saliba out and it was Martinelli out for Udogie and Maddison, both of those moves paid off. So the two free transfers I made last week, they did indeed pay off. So that's definitely a good sign, and it shows that I'm moving my team hopefully in the right direction. So with Game Week 4 out the way, if we've got Game Week 5 to come up next, and I'm eyeing up some big moves, let me show you what I got. So first of all, I'm going to show you what I have currently, and then we're going to do something a little bit different today. You're going to have to tell me if you like it or not, but I'm going to try and improve the way we do these team selection videos to help you kind of see my thought process a little bit better, I guess. But we will start off with this team. We've got one free transfer, 0.8 million in the bank. Starting off in goal, we're going to play Turner this game week against Burnley at home. There has been kind of reports about Turner potentially not going to be the first choice goalkeeper at Nottingham Forest for long, but the reports are saying that it's Turner's place to lose. It's going to be a case of if Turner can continue his good form in goal, and it has been good form in goal for him, if he can continue that streak, then he is going to remain in net. So basically, we are really depending on Turner doing well as a Turner owner. We need him to keep doing well, keep scoring FPL points for us. Otherwise, he's going to be out of not just our FPL teams, but the Nottingham Forest team as well. But for now, it's looking good. Burnley, a pretty decent fixture as well. So maybe a clean sheet for a Nottingham Forest team that is actually doing a little bit better than you might think. They're actually kind of doing not too bad so far this season. Top half of the table and keeping the odd clean sheet. And, you know, in general, you know, they're actually defending pretty well. Into defence, we have got Ben Chilwell, a defence that is not so great at the moment. Chelsea are a little bit all over the place. We're a little bit worried about them in general, but a Bournemouth fixture up next could be a decent opportunity to get some attacking returns no matter who you have in your team right now. So looking forward to seeing what Chilwell can produce. Can he be a little bit more like the Chilwell of Game Week 1 and 2, where he was super attacking, really high up the pitch, getting those attacking returns as well? I'd like to see a return of that really, and Chilwell playing much further forward and more heavily involved, because he has dropped off just a little bit. But the fixtures are still great, so I'm happy to keep him in my team, I think. Next up, Purvis Estupinian, a difficult fixture against Manchester United up next. Although Manchester United are a little bit all over the place, I do still expect them to score goals against a Brighton team that defensively haven't been great. But we don't own Estupinian for the great defense. We own him for his attacking potential. And man, does he have a lot of that. So maybe against a struggling Manchester United defense, we could actually see some attacking returns from Estupinian. He's done it before already this season. We've done it last season as well. And hopefully we're going to see more of the same there. Udogie is going to finish off the defense, and as you guys can see, we've got three super attacking defenders because I've pretty much given up on clean sheets in the Premier League this year. It doesn't seem to be happening very often at all. So we are going to need to have some of those defenders who are more capable of getting attacking returns, and Udogie is definitely proving to be one of those guys. And saying that, although a clean sheet should not be expected necessarily, Sheffield United, if you're going to pick out a fixture where you might be able to keep a clean sheet, Sheffield United's got to be up there. A home game as well. So maybe Spurs can keep the clean sheet and we can get a nice big Udogie haul, maybe with a clean sheet and an assist there as well. That would be pretty nice, wouldn't it? So fingers crossed for that one. Udogie coming clutch for us. We really, really do need those points right now. In midfield, we've got Marcus Rashford playing against the higher line of Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton actually struggling a little bit defensively this season. Yeah, they have been very good in attack, but in defense, they're just not quite clicking. They're not quite, like keeping those clean sheets. It's difficult for them. So yes, it's going to be difficult to get clean sheets from Brighton, but that's going to be an opportunity for our Manchester United players. I know a lot of people have given up on the likes of Marcus Rashford, but remember, last 2 game weeks, he scored a goal and got 2 assists. He hasn't got mega FPL points because he hasn't got bonus, and he also got a yellow card in game week 3. But if you look at the FPL returns, actually, he's got 3 and 2. That's actually pretty decent. That's kind of what we want from Marcus Rashford. Now all we need is less yellow cards and more bonus points. And suddenly he's going to look like a really good FPL asset. And these Brighton and Burnley games, 2 teams with super high lines, you really expect a player like Marcus Rashford to counter-attack and, do very well, playing in behind the defenders and going through on goal, as we saw him do against Arsenal. That's the kind of player he is, and that's where he really thrives. Hopefully, more of him on the left as well, with Højlund playing as that central striker. Could be very interesting to see how Manchester United play going forward in the future game weeks. We've got Saka up next. Of course, he is a great pick as well. Not really let anyone down so far this season, and Everton up next. Even though it is typically a fixture that Arsenal struggle with, could this be finally the time where Arsenal can beat Everton at their home ground? I mean, this is the best Arsenal have been for many, many years, and you could arguably say that it's the worst Everton have been in many years as well. So I am still backing Saka and Arsenal to come away with the victory here, despite historically not doing too well. Those records are made to be broken, so hopefully that's what we'll see with Saka, the extraordinaire, maybe taking a penalty as well. That would be pretty decent, and we'll get some good FPL points from him. Bruno Fernandes, similar to Rashford, these fixtures are not as bad as you think they are. Brighton is a decent fixture. Burnley is a very decent fixture, and Bruno's still putting up insane numbers, and he looks brilliant every time you watch him play. Creative, taking shots on, and he's going to be on penalties. Hopefully we'll finally get a Bruno Fernandes jammy penalty and get some FPL points that way. That's what we're all wishing for as Bruno owners. I'm absolutely sure about that. But Bruno also coming off the back of some fantastic form over the international break. It cannot be understated how much of a great player he really is. Creative, takes on shots. He's the star player in this Manchester United team, and although the FPL returns haven't necessarily always been there, he's still got some decent points. Game week 3 we saw some decent points. I think he can get back to the points with that Arsenal game now out of the way. Next up, James Maddison, a player who has been in and out of my team so far this season, but he's in currently, and I'm very pleased about that one because he looks good, right? Looks really, really good. Maddison, probably the most impressive player of the Premier League so far this season. I know a few of you guys will probably say Brian and Mbumo, but I am talking about in football terms, rather than necessarily FPL terms. And Mbumo has been the star of FPL, which I don't have him in my team, unfortunately. But Maddison, I still think he's looked really good, and there's definitely going to be more opportunities. I think this Sheffield United game suits him as well, particularly if Sheffield United look to sit back. It is going to depend on Maddison taking those long shots and maybe taking some set pieces as well. These are going to be the kind of ways that Spurs possibly need to score against Sheffield United there. So this is a game that definitely suits him, and I'm very pleased to be going into this game week with Maddison in my team. I'm going to finish off the midfield with Phil Foden. 2 assists in his last 2, but overall, we probably hope for a little bit more from him. The 2 great fixtures for Foden, Fulham and Sheffield United, they're now in the past. The good fixtures are in the past now. We've got West Ham next, which is a little bit tougher. Nottingham Forest are an improved team. Wolves is not so bad, but that's kind of an away fixture there as well. And then Arsenal. So although Foden is definitely not a must-sell, he is a player who I am losing faith in. I'm losing confidence in him, particularly when we compare him to all of these other amazing midfielders that we're all very interested in. Like Foden to Brian Mbumo might be a good kind of long-term move for me. I think that would probably be a more ideal team for me, but that's potentially a move we could make in the future. Up front, Erling Haaland, who can forget him? Up West Ham next as well. Like I say, the fixtures are not amazing, but it doesn't matter with this guy. He's going to score in every single game, isn't he? He's crazy. He's a robot. We know this already. The Norwegian beast is just going to do crazy madnesses again. So, yeah, we'll look forward to that, I guess. And we're going to finish off the starting 11 with Ollie Watkins. Watkins. Crystal Palace up next. Crystal Palace actually putting up the third best defensive numbers in the entire Premier League right now. So I am a little bit worried about that one, to be fair. Watkins' fixtures don't really get good again for a couple of game weeks at least. Kind of from game week 10. Aston Villa's fixtures look very, very good indeed. But I'm wondering if maybe it might be time to let Watkins go. He's not playing 90 minutes every game like he was previously. We've got European football coming up as well, so maybe we see a little bit of rotation there. Again, Watkins, another player who I am losing faith in and starting to regret going for him at all, to be fair. So it's an interesting one. Yeah, not really convinced by him so much anymore. It's just not really done what I expected him to do, you know? Anyway, on the bench, we've got Johnston. Yes, I'm going to be benching him against Aston Villa. And to be honest, Johnston is going to be a problem for me in the future. I already know that. He's got this situation where Henderson is now playing for Crystal Palace and maybe Johnston could be dropped at any moment, which is a shame because Crystal Palace is such a good defence, and I want to be invested in that Crystal Palace defence. Didn't see this Henderson transfer coming at all in the Game Week 1 deadline. But this is FPL. We've got to deal with this situation. But I'm going to wait with Johnston and Turner. Both these players are now at rotation risk. What I'm basically going to do is just wait. Wait and transfer them out as soon as a problem actually arises. As soon as they start getting dropped at that stage, that's when I will start to kind of reconsider how I'm going to, you know, play with my goalkeepers. Can I hold on to them until I wildcard? Eyeing up a Game Week 10 wildcard, I think I am. So could I wait until then? Possibly not, but I guess we'll see. So yeah, Johnston, Turner, each of them could get dropped. But until they do, I'm not going to worry about them. I'm going to try and get the points in the more dangerous areas and kind of focus my transfers on getting, you know, attacking players who are going to get the big FPL points rather than switching out, you know, goalkeepers who can't play for goalkeepers who can't keep a clean sheet. There's not really many points difference there for me personally. We've got Archer on the bench. He's not a bad backup against Spurs, but, you know, we're still going to leave him on the bench. He's a 4.5 million forward for a reason. And we've got Kabore and Bulldog there who are going to be staying firmly on the bench as well as those 4 million defenders. So, with that said, we need to start thinking about making some transfers. And if I'm honest with you guys, there is one player I want more than anyone else, and that is Heung-min Son. He is the guy I really want in my team. I really think he's going to carry on playing as the central striker. I think he's going to be on penalties. And I think even though Sheffield United is like a green fixture, I actually think the Arsenal and Liverpool games are a little bit easier for Son because he's going to be playing up against a very high line. So similar to Rashford, he's going to be playing against the high lines of Brighton and Burnley. Son against the high lines of Arsenal and Liverpool. You know, we saw what Rashford did against Arsenal. Can Son do the exact same thing? I absolutely think that he can, with Maddison playing in those balls in behind as well. So, yeah, Son, I really want him in my team. The other player I would be quite keen to get right now is probably Gabriel Jesus, those two players. So, I've got to think about how I can get those in, and I'm going to show you my kind of current thought process. So, looking at my team, there's no one here that I have to remove. There's no one who is in desperate need of coming out of my team right now. But there are a few players that I would be willing to sacrifice. And those are these players of Chilwell, Estupiñán, Foden, and Watkins. And I imagine a lot of you guys are in a similar situation. These are not players you hate. These are not players you desperately need to remove from your team. But they're more like players who, okay, if I lost them, if I had to transfer them out, I would be okay with that. And that's exactly what these players are. So here's the situation, guys. If I want to get in Son, I'm going to have to sell Foden. He's the only midfielder I personally would be willing to sacrifice. I know a lot of you guys will be saying, well, can't you get rid of Rashford? Can't you get rid of Bruno Fernandes? There's no way I'm doing that. I'm not interested in selling those players. I think they look really positive for the next 2 game weeks. And in fact, I think Manchester United, between now and my planned Game Week 10 wildcard, probably have the best fixtures from an attacking point of view. So I don't want to lose those 2 players. I really don't. Saka, not going to lose him ahead of Everton, Spurs, and Bournemouth either. Maddison, I think is a really good pick as well. Foden is just the worst of a good bunch, you know? And Foden was never a long-term pick for me. It was never brought in to be in there long-term. I kind of was trying to maybe see if we could take a bit of a differential and get some big points in those last 2 games against Sheffield United and Fulham. It didn't come off, and I might just have to cut my losses here and remove him for Son. But if we do that, we need to sell someone else. We need to free up some money. Now, looking through my other players who I'd be willing to sacrifice in order to free up some money, we've got Estupiñán. If I sold a Stupinian, I would have to free up so much money. I'd have to free up 1.5 million. By doing that, then a Stupinian is going to have to go down to basically the cheapest players in the game, like 4 million kind of defenders. And I'm not really willing to do that. I don't want a third 4 million defender. So a Stupinian, unfortunately, cannot be the way to free up budget. So it's going to have to be either Chilwell or Watkins. I'm going to have to take a -4, and we're going to have to find replacements or viable replacements for Chilwell, for Watkins, in order to make that double transfer that improves my team. I want to make sure if I'm taking a -4, both transfers improve my team. If I'm swapping a Chilwell for someone who is just as good or worse than him, just to upgrade Foden to Son, I'm not interested. And the same situation with Watkins. I have to get a player who is not only cheaper, but a better FPL pick that I would prefer to have right now. So, how am I going to build a midfield 5 that I love, including Son? Who am I going to sacrifice? Let me show you my options. So first of all, my option 1 is to just roll the transfer. Admit, okay, I don't want to take a -4. I can't really find any convincing players that I would be willing to downgrade the likes of Chilwell or Watkins to. Just roll the transfer. I'll get Son another week. And I could maybe just use one transfer to do Watkins to Jesus. I kind of like the idea of doing that transfer. He is a player I've got my eye on at the moment. So yeah, rolling the transfer and not doing anything is the boring and possibly most sensible option here. We could do Foden to Son and then downgrade Chilwell to a 4.8 million or less defender. So obviously by downgrading Chilwell instead of a Stupinian, we do have a little bit more money to play with. We could go for Cash or Botman. Those would be the two defenders I would be most keen on getting. Though Aston Villa fans are telling me that maybe Cash is a little bit of rotation risk at the moment with Moreno back, and maybe actually we could see Cash not play as many games going forward. I still think he should play most games, but that has put a little bit of doubt in my mind. And Botman, 4.5 million defender, refusing to drop to 4.4. I love the Newcastle fixtures and I think they'll keep clean sheets, but is it exciting enough for me? I'm not sure. And finally, we do have the exciting one. So what we could do, Foden to Son and then Watkins to a forward who costs 7.2 million or less. That is not enough for me to get Gabriel Jesus. If it was, I would perhaps do it. But then if it was, I probably wouldn't even need to downgrade Watkins. I could just do Foden straight to Son, which I can't. But I would do that, guys. If you have that option to do Foden straight to Son, I would definitely do that. But yeah, we're going to have to maybe downgrade Watkins. I feel like this is the way to go. If I'm going for the most exciting transfers, if I want to be the most aggressive form of manager that I think I am, you know, I like playing those, you know, trying to get those high upside players and you know, chasing the big points. That's what I kind of really like. You know, I don't like playing it safe. It's not kind of me as an FPL manager. So we have got options in the forward slot and actually some decent options as well. So let me show you what I could do with this option 3. Foden to Son and Watkins to a 7.2 million forward or less in a way where both of those transfers would improve my team. So here are my options. These are all of the forwards who I'm currently looking at that cost 7.2 million or less. We've got Odsonne Edouard actually topping the charts here. So I've kind of ordered this by how I kind of rate these numbers, how good the numbers are for each of these players since the beginning of the season. I reckon Edouard's actually got the best numbers so far. Decent XG here, a little bit of XA as well, but more importantly, plenty of shots, particularly in those dangerous areas. So definitely Edouard for a 5.5 million forward is not the worst pick in the world, but am I confident in him long term? Well, of course I'm not. Edouard, you know, he has been a streaky player in the past, but he's never really convinced me long term. We've got Jackson here I could go for. A little bit template, not really my vibe, and he has been missing chances. I'm a little bit worried about Armando Broja coming in if Jackson continues his poor form as well. But Jackson, if I had him already, he'd be a player I'd be very, very willing to keep. So that's absolutely fine to go for a Jackson, but yeah, I don't think it's the one for me. Now, Ferguson could potentially be injured, but his numbers are incredible, particularly when you consider he's only started the last 2 games. Before that, he was on the bench. But since we've kind of got Enciso injured and João Pedro has kind of fallen out of favour, we could see Ferguson get a lot more game time with maybe Danny Welbeck playing kind of off him a little bit if he's fit as well. Yeah, I feel like Ferguson, what he's shown now over and over again, he's got to be nailed on for Brighton when fit going forward. He has to play. He really, really does. He's been absolutely brilliant, scintillating stuff from him. So when you look at the kind of numbers per 90 or numbers per start, Ferguson looks absolutely incredible right now, and even though he is outperforming his XG by a little bit, he looks the real deal, and I'm sure anyone who's watched Ferguson recently will completely agree with me. He is a future superstar, surely. We've got some other players in here like Alvarez. His numbers aren't too bad either. I'm a little bit worried about rotation going forward though. He has played a lot of minutes so far, but that might not be too permanent. But still, really, really good numbers, playing for a great Man City side. I don't mind him at all. Awani, nice differential there as well. Lots of people going for him right now, scoring or assisting in pretty much every single game for forever, what seems like forever. But he does have a difficult Man City game in game week 6. So great fixture against Burnley next, but then Man City after that. And often we don't see our knee play 90 minutes either, which is something that concerns me. Now, Morris is a 90-minute man, but his numbers are not brilliant. In fact, yes, his XG looks pretty decent at 0.99 in 3 games. That's okay for a 5.5 million forward, but that was because of a penalty. His non-penalty XG per game well, total, if we look at total across 3 games, is as low as 0.22, which is a non-penalty expected goal. What, 1 goal every, how many games is that? Like 15 or something? It's crazy. Yeah, I'm not saying he's not going to score points, and he has got a double game week coming up, and the fixtures are looking pretty good for him as well. But that's not enough to convince me, sadly. We could also look at the likes of Darwin and maybe Isaac. Those kind of players would slot in just behind Awani, between Awani and Morris in terms of their numbers. You could also look at players like Jesus and Højlund, who haven't really had game time so far this season, but they're definitely differential options. But all of those players, unfortunately, out of my price bracket. So I'm going to focus on these guys. And honestly, the cheaper guys are actually putting up some really good numbers. So I don't even really mind that I can't afford, you know, some of those more expensive guys. Yeah, looking through it, Alvarez is probably the most sensible pick. That's who most people would go for right now. Awani is definitely an interesting differential. And Ferguson, I really like if he's fit. And I want to get more confirmation about his fitness status right now. If he looks positive right now, looks like he is going to be back there. Brighton are hopeful that he's going to be back. But I want to get a little bit more confirmation. And if so, I feel like Ferguson could be the pick for me. Awani, kind of as a risky pick, could be nice against Burnley. And good fixtures after the Man City game as well for Awani. So that's the difficult thing there. But Alvarez, I don't know, he just seems like the sensible one, doesn't he? A lot of you guys, I don't know what your opinion is on this one. I imagine a lot of you guys are screaming at the screen right now. Go for Alvarez, Dan. Just go for Alvarez. He's the sensible pick. Not sure if I am a sensible guy, but for the purpose of this video, maybe I should be more sensible. Okay, so let's throw that in. Yeah, Foden out, Son in, Watkins out, and Alvarez in. For the purpose of this video, this is not a locked-in transfer. I'm going to take a couple more days to think about this, and the decision probably won't be made until Friday or Saturday. So I'll let you know what my final decision is on this one. At least by Saturday, I guess, when we do our deadline stream, and I'll tell you which one I go for. But I think it's between Alvarez, Ferguson, and Awani. Those are the 3 players standing out to me right now. Those are the 3 players I want the most, and I think all 3 of them are an improvement on Watkins. It's just a case of which one I go for. I really, really don't know which ones that's going to be. So, yeah, this was what my team would look like now for Game Week 5 at -4 taken, and I think it looks brilliant. I actually think this team looks brilliant. It's a team I'm really, really happy with to have moving forward as well. I think this is a good long-term team, and I really, really like that about it. There's minor concerns in terms of the goalkeepers and the defenders are always going to be a concern no matter what. But aside from that, it's looking good. So, yeah, captain's armband on Erling Haaland, of course, because, you know, he's just the only captain you can ever really pick. I know a few people will go for Son or Maddison. I'm just not as convinced by them as I am with a player as good as Erling Haaland. So, yeah, captain's armband on Haaland. Vice-captain will go on... I want to say Son, but I feel like maybe this game week suits Maddison more. So we're going to put the vice-captain on Maddison. Yeah. Let's complete the video by having a quick look at the AI recommendations from Fantasy Football Hub. If you want to check out this tool, there's a link in the description. You can get 7 days free trial for full access of all Fantasy Football Hub tools right now. So make sure you go check that out. Get that deal whilst you still can. At least try it out. If you don't want to pay for it after that, that's absolutely fine. But I believe once you've tried these tools, you won't want to lose them. So yeah, have a look, see if it can help you out for Game Week 5. And tell me what your team rating is right now as well. Always interested to hear where you guys are at in terms of team rating. I'm on 95%, and I was correct in my assumptions that both Chilwell and Estupinian are the players with the least likely to get points this game week, and Foden and Watkins seem to be the other weak links. Each of those players on 4.8 predicted points compared to some of the other midfielders and forwards who are on a lot more there. So yeah, it looks like those guys are the ones to remove. Let's see what the AI transfer recommendations are. And let's see if they agree with me, basically. So here we go. It is saying sell Watkins, but it's saying go for Nicholas Jackson instead. I'm not totally surprised because the underlying numbers are so good for Jackson, and the AI really does like underlying numbers. Let's see if it's got anything else for me. Okay, so here's the other suggested transfer. It's actually saying to take out Estupinian and bring it in Ruben Dias. Yeah, I definitely see the idea of going for this one. The defenses are just not pulling their weight at the moment, and Brighton are definitely in that category. So bringing in a Manchester City defender is definitely another option for me. But these two transfer suggestions, whilst they are great, they don't really suit my playstyle. I want to be more aggressive than that. But if I was a more sensible manager, I would definitely be recommended the likes of Ruben. I would definitely be recommended, at least keep the likes of Nicholas Jackson. These are more templatey picks that are definitely going to help you out. But I feel like I might try and diverge from that a little bit. Let's see if I can beat the AI with my moves, or whether the robots will make me look like a complete idiot. Okay, so having made those moves, bringing in Son and Alvarez for Foden and for Watkins, it has improved my team rating up to 97%. So we have got an improvement here, a 2% improvement on my team rating. So the moves that I'm making definitely are, moves that are recommended by the AI as well. So phew, okay, they like what I want to do as well. That's relieving. It makes me feel like I'm a little bit less crazy, I guess. But Jackson is still not locked in. Alvarez, is not still locked in. There's a chance I go for Ferguson. There's a chance I go for Awoniyi. It just depends on how crazy I feel by deadline day. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. If you would like to drop a like, that would be massively appreciated. Do subscribe if you are new around here as well. We're going to have one more video tomorrow answering all of your final questions. So if you have got questions and topics you'd like me to cover in tomorrow's video, drop them in the comment section and I'll have a look through them. Or maybe answer some in the comment section, but others will do a full breakdown in tomorrow's video. So look forward to that one. I've got some decisions to make still myself, so hopefully that will be included as well. But aside from that, thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.